thank you for joining another noon devotional. And today I have our granddaughter, Charli Joe, and in a moment I'm going to ask her a question or two, and let me explain why I'm doing what I'm doing. One of the things that you may or may not have thought about, and I fear many have not, is how children feel with this pandemic. Now, I know how I have felt and do feel, and I've talked to enough other adults to know how they feel, but has this ever come to your mind? What do children think? I mean, they hear all this stuff and about how many people are infected with the virus and how many people now have died and people walking around wearing a mask, and everything's just gone, in reverse of what we're used to. Well, like, what is going on in their mind? So with that little background, I want to talk to Charli Joe a moment. Charli Joe, let me ask you, like, when you first heard about the pandemic, like, what did you think? Share with the people, just from your heart, what you thought.
Oh my goodness, it was just like I went to bed one night, normal, and I woke up and people in China were wearing masks and everybody was infected with a virus. I'm like, this is just crazy, like, what the heck's happening? Like, overwhelming, definitely.
Well, so it started out, you were just thinking about people in China.
Totally.
But then the next thing you know,
it's here.
It's here. Then when it got here, Charli Joe, and school was closed, and we're all wearing masks, and we're having to do everything so different. Like, what did you think then?
Well, I just kind of thought, oh, this is not bad. We'll just get over with this soon enough. Like, because we started online school in spring or something. I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. We'll just finish out the year this way, and then we'll start next year back in the classrooms. Well, so much for that. We're in December, and we're still not back.
Yeah. I remember when it first started, I said to the ministers at church, and this was in March, I said, I pray that by Labor Day, we might be back to normal. I'll never forget that day. They looked at me like I was from outer space. They said, Labor Day? Pastor, it's not even Easter. You're talking about Labor Day. I said, guys and gals, listen to me. We're going to be like this much longer than we think. Well, Labor Day came and Labor Day moved on. And we're not out of this yet, and we're not going to be for a while, even though there's light at the end of the tunnel, because there is a vaccine, and people, when we start taking the vaccine, things will get better. But having said that, I want to go back. Charli Joe, like, when you realized that this wasn't in China, it's here, were you afraid?
Okay, I was...
How did you feel?
I just, kind of what I said earlier, I was just overwhelmed, and I was so shocked, I didn't even, when I heard about the coronavirus just, springing up in China, I didn't even give it a thought that it would end up here.
So you were just overwhelmed. That's
and shocked, yeah, it was
shocked.
Crazy.
Well, I think that word overwhelmed, we can all relate to that. Well, let me ask you this, Charli Joe, you're 10 years of age, how has God helped you during this overwhelming time?
God has helped me so much since the beginning of this. He just reminds me day after day that He's always going to be with me, and just to put my trust in Him, and He will help us through it. It says in Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That verse goes on, but that's what it's saying, and I think that verse is just so helpful during a time like this.
Well, you know what? That is great. And I think a couple of things today. Number one, this pandemic is a great time for parents and grandparents especially, and teachers and any others who can, to use this as an opportunity to teach our children and our grandchildren that no matter what we go through in life, God is always there to help us, God will always provide for us, and God will always get us through that. Number two, I think as parents and grandparents and others, we need to understand that children have a lot of stuff going through their minds that we probably don't think much about related to this pandemic. And so we need to do what we can to assure them and to encourage them and to listen to them as they, from time to time, verbalize their feelings. Well, Charli Joe, thank you for sharing with us today. And whether you are Charli Joe's age or my age or somewhere in the middle, And if you're really blessed somewhere beyond me, it matters not. God never changes. God's always with us, and God keeps His word every single time. So this week, do all you can to stay well. Have a good week, and I look forward to being with you myself on Thursday.